Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Up next, we're going to be talking about day 9 of Baltimore Ravens training camp. Do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's go. So, day 9 Baltimore Ravens training camp came to a conclusion with several standouts from today's training camp practice. And looks like the defense still has the head start on the offense, which is typical in most training camps across the league. The defense typically does get the best of the offense, specifically in the first week. And certainly the Baltimore Ravens defense may be getting the best of the Baltimore Ravens offense because the Baltimore Ravens are learning a new offensive scheme for sure. But the Baltimore Ravens defense also has uh, two of the deepest and probably the most talented units in the NFL, in the entire NFL. The Baltimore Ravens probably have the best safety room in the NFL, and they definitely have the best linebacker room in the NFL. So this is what the Baltimore Ravens offense has to go up against while they're installing and trying to get rhythm and continuity down on offense. Okay. But first up, man, we're going to talk about no other than Kyle Hamilton, second year safety drafted in the first round last year. Kyle Hamilton, man, is showing out in training camp. From everything I read and heard about Kyle Hamilton, he's been practicing really well, and today was no different. Basically, blanketing, shutting out Mark Andrews, breaking up passes, and covering wide receivers. Kyle Hamilton showed a lot of courage ability last year in his rookie camp, especially late in the year, and seems like he's done nothing more than keep that up this year as he's performing really well in training camp. Kyle Hamilton could actually be on his way to a Pro Bowl season if all things um, are equal across the board, and there's no um, discrimination against Hamilton for being a young safety in this league. I think he does have that kind of talent to be a Pro Bowl or perennial Pro Bowler for years to come. And I think that could start this year, especially if what we're seeing and hearing from Kyle Hamilton um, translates into the season and he plays dominant football this year. So Kyle Hamilton is the first standout. Another standout from today's training camp is kind of a surprise, but a guy that has been hanging around the NFL for several years now, hanging around the Baltimore Ravens for a couple of years now. That's Kevin Seymour. Kevin Seymour is able to earn some snaps, man, because the Baltimore Ravens have a few injuries at the cornerback position. Rock Yacine's out, Kelly is out. I think Pepe Williams is still out. So Kevin Seymour is able to get some snaps, and he's making the most of his snaps, covering wide receivers, being in good position, tipping balls that turn into interceptions. Seymour even got some praise from John Harbaugh for performing well, and so I like to hear veterans, man, who are just sticking around, man, and just trying to hang on in this league and make a name for this or continue to make a name for themselves. And Kevin Seymour's that kind of guy. Him and Darryl Worley both hadn't heard a lot about Darryl Worley, but Kevin Seymour and Darryl Worley are some guys that the Baltimore Ravens had kept for a couple of years now. And you'll know what you're going to get from those guys. Those guys may not be um, the most elite guys by any means. They may not be cover guys or shutdown guys, but they're guys who will fight you. Those guys who will try to be in the right place at the right time, and they're guys who will compete. And so, man, I'm super proud and super glad to hear about Kevin Seymour doing his thing because we're going to need that depth throughout the year at that cornerback position. Uh, Next up was Tavius Robinson, fourth round rookie in this year's draft, who is showing his speed, running sideline to sideline, if I can use that phrase. He's a guy who also had some buzz coming out of yesterday's, not yesterday, but day before yesterday's practice. I guess that would be Wednesday, showing his speed and his power. So I was glad to hear we're gonna need that depth at that outside linebacker edge rush position, especially with some question marks with Tyus Bowser and also David Ajabo, dealing with some type of injury right now. So those were some defensive standouts. Um, I don't think there's anybody else on defense. Offense didn't really make a lot of noise today. Matter of fact, offense was super frustrated today from everything I've read. Lamar Jackson punting the ball a couple of times in practice out of frustration, slamming his helmet on the ground. Um, Mark Andrews was a little heated because he felt like he should have got a flag called by the by the official on a play that I believe Marcus Williams was covering him on. Kind of came over the top, hit him early or whatever. And so it's good to see these guys have some fire about what's going on offense and defense. It's good to see that they care about the practice and care about getting better. That's really, really exciting to see. Um, Big play between Lamar Jackson and Laquan Treadwell, going deep for a long touchdown. Matter of fact, that's the second time I've heard Laquan Treadwell going for a deep touchdown. And here's what's interesting, right? Laquan Treadwell doesn't even have deep speed like that. He's really more of a chain mover, big body receiver. But that's the second time I've heard him going deep. So maybe Laquan Treadwell has developed some burners here later in his career. But I'm glad to hear that from Laquan Treadwell, showing some good hands and some playmaking ability. And so maybe he grabs one of these roster spots, man, for the Baltimore Ravens for sure. Isaiah Likely had a good performance today with the second unit, catching some balls from Johnson with the backup units. Definitely would like to hear a little more from Isaiah Likely, getting some run with the starting units. I would love to see that. Love to see some two tight end sets, things of that nature. But I'm sure that's to come. I know everything's fresh. This is only day 9 of Baltimore Ravens camp. So maybe we'll see more to come as we get into next week and some preseason games. Uh, but that's about it, man, for the exciting news from camp. Um, Injuries right now. Kelly. Who else is injured? Meaning Kabu Kelly, that is rookie. David Ajabo is out right now, and seems like there's somebody else. I can't think of that name right now. And then the PUP list is still J.K. Bateman, Patrick Ricard. So no updates on those guys, and I really don't expect much update on those guys. I think those guys will be out for several more weeks. Um, with the question mark with J.K. Don't know how severe his injury is or if he's injured, but that's not here nor there. Uh, oh, one more thing, sounds like, man, the running backs are going to be integral in the passing game, because they've been catching a lot of balls in practice. And with that said, I would love to hear Keaton Mitchell getting some run, especially if the running backs will be used to catch the ball. I would love to see a guy with his kind of speed, his kind of electricity, get some run at that running back position. So hopefully we can see that happen. And um, last thing on my mind is to make sure I address and make sure there's understanding from our first video from earlier today. When I made the video about the offense, the Baltimore Ravens offense not being good yet, that was not my comment. That was a comment that the OC made, and I think there was some confusion from the comments that I got directly, and then also the comments in the video comment section. That was Todd Monken's comment in part or whole. Okay. My commentary was that the culprits were the offensive line and Lamar Jackson. And as you can see from today's frustration, the offensive line is being dominated by the defensive line. Now, I don't know if that's because the offensive line hasn't moved into gear yet, or if the defensive line is just that dominant. I hope it's the latter. I hope the defensive line is just that dominant, and we can see that translate into the regular season. And I hope the offensive line is just a step slower because they are learning this whole new system, new blocking schemes like that. Because if the offensive line is getting ran through like this, it does have some concern if if it's not more on the basis of they're just learning right now, so they're going to be a step slower. So hopefully that's the case for sure. Um, and then I want to clear up the whole thing about Lamar Jackson. So let me be very clear. I'm not doubting Lamar Jackson's ability. I, just like you guys, have watched Lamar Jackson since 2018. Okay. My statement about this offense being new and everything being in installation mode was because this is a brand new offense, a completely different style of offense from the Greg Roman system. Agreed. Lamar Jackson did learn a new offense in 2019 and won the MVP. But here's the biggest difference. Lamar Jackson was only a 7-game starter plus one playoff game coming into 2019. So he didn't have to take off and undo and unlearn and not remember as much content. Coming into 2023, he has had to endure the last 4 years, 19, 20, 21, and 22 of the Greg Roman system, which was a run first system. Okay. So when I say he has to unlearn, I'm not questioning his mental ability. I'm talking about what he has to unlearn. You don't unlearn what you learned in just 9 days. It just doesn't happen that way. Okay. And so that's number one. Number two, when I say everything's installed. So as he's unlearning and learning a new system, it is going to be some struggle. It is going to be some missteps. It is going to be some misinterpretation of terminology because Lamar Jackson isn't perfect, just like no other quarterback is not perfect. So when I was talking about Lamar Jackson learning, that's no slight, no implication that he doesn't have an ability to learn. I'm just simply saying what's true. He is coming out of 4 years of the Greg Roman system versus the 1 year of Morningwig, or rather 7, 8 games of the Morningwig system. It's a different experience totally. I don't doubt that this Baltimore Ravens offense can be super explosive, 30 points a game even. I don't doubt that either. What I said was to learn and install, excuse me, to install and learn as it's being installed, a brand new offense, brand new concepts, brand new signals, brand new verbiage. All those things are going to be brand new. Where the wide receivers will line up is new. Where the tight ends will line up is new. Where tight end routes will be new. Where how the wide receivers position themselves on the field, how they run down the field, where they'll turn in, where they'll turn out, all those things will be new. All those things will be learned. So what I'm saying is very, very clear, and it's true. Because you don't know if you have it down packed until you're in a game situation. 11 on 11 is fine. But 11 on 11 is playing against guys you know, and they know that they can't come get you for real. You're only going to know if this offense is fully installed and fully learned when games are live. That begins in the preseason, just as I said. And then even in preseason, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens offense will get limited snaps because he's not going to be put in harm's way when it's not necessary. So he may get a total of 4 quarters all of preseason, if that. He might not even get 4 quarters total in the preseason. So then you got to rely on the first games of the regular season. Yeah, they might come out and blaze Houston. They may come out and put up good points against Cincinnati, but that's not even the indication that the offense is fully learned. That just may simply be because Houston's defense and Cincinnati's defense won't be as great as it was last year, specifically Cincinnati, not Houston. right? That could be the result. I'm saying you're gonna need full live action where where you can simply see how guys are gonna perform under real game pressure, how guys are gonna perform when somebody is beating down on you and trying to get to your quarterback, how guys are gonna perform when somebody is jamming them at the line of scrimmage. Are they gonna get off that bump? Are they gonna get off that press at the line? Right? See, that's what I mean. That's why I say it may take all of preseason and into the regular season. This is no doubt that this offense can be explosive. I've seen this offense just like everybody else has seen this offense be explosive without the weapons, the weaponry that Lamar Jackson has access to this year. So I'm not questioning if they can be explosive. Explosive is not even what I'm expecting. I don't even care if they get off to a hot start offensively. As long as they win it, they can score 24 points a game. I wouldn't care. I want them to be good for the long haul because we've seen them. You guys have seen them. I've seen them. We've seen them 2 years straight get off to strong starts offensively and then sputter out along the way. Now, that was under the Greg Roman system. I don't expect the same thing uh, under the Todd Monken system. And one last point I want to make is this. It's going to take live action also to know if this offense is fully ready to go. Why? Because in practice, if you mess up a play, the coach can say, get back to the line and run it again. And if you mess it up again, get back to the line and run it again. That doesn't happen in live games. If you mess up in a live game, you got to move on to the next play. You see, so that's why practice does make perfect, even though there's no such thing in ball as perfect. So that's all I was meaning. And then when I talked about let me be very, very clear. When I talked about Lamar Jackson missing some throws, I mentioned specifically Odell and Aguilar because that was the most recent article that I read. But I've read other articles, practice reports from day one. I wasn't making videos over the first 6 games, first 5 or 6 days of practice because I wasn't in town. But that doesn't mean I didn't read articles that spoke about that too. See, and even when I say he misses throws, that's not a criticism. If he missed it, he missed it. Right? Ball placement is ball placement is ball placement. So that's no criticism. That doesn't mean he can't throw the ball. That doesn't mean he's not a good quarterback. That's not what I said at all. I'm just making a point that this whole thing for Lamar Jackson is a learning process. And when I said the word culprit, that was not an indication that he had done something wrong. I stated that very clearly as my last video opened. So please know that I'm still a Ravens fan. I'm still a rider for Lamar Jackson. If you have any doubt of that, go check the videos I made before he signed his contract. The proof is in the pudding. I talk about what I read, I talk about what I see, and I give my takes on those things. I have nothing personal against the Ravens. I want the Ravens to be ultimately super successful. I would love for us to end up with a chip this year. So if that means I talk about what I see in here, even if that's not a positive for Lamar Jackson, then you know what? I would rather be talking about something that's not positive now than talking about it if the season's over without a chip. I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM. I'm out.